The rhythmic thump of bass still echoed in my ears as I stumbled out of the party. The night air was chilly, a sharp contrast to the warmth of the crowded house. I fumbled for my keys in my pocket, my senses dulled by the alcohol coursing through my veins. My friends had long dispersed, leaving me to navigate the winding roads alone. Slumping into the driver's seat, I ignited the engine, the car purring to life. The streets were deserted, bathed in an eerie silence broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves in the wind. The dim glow of the streetlights cast long shadows, distorting the shapes of trees and buildings into menacing silhouettes. As I drove, the events of the night swirled in my mind like a murky fog. Laughter, music, drinks. Then something else, a sense of unease that had crept up on me unnoticed. Was it the way people looked at me, their smiles tinged with malice? Or was it the strange whispers that seemed to linger at the edge of my hearing? I shook my head, trying to dispel the creeping paranoia. It was just the alcohol playing tricks on me, I reasoned. But try as I might, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of something sinister lurking in the darkness just beyond the reach of my headlights. As I rounded a bend in the road, I saw it, a figure standing by the side of the road, bathed in the sickly yellow light of a flickering street lamp. My heart leaped into my throat as I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching in protest. I peered through the windshield, squinting to get a better look at the figure. It was a woman, her features obscured by the shadows, her long hair billowing in the wind. My first instinct was to drive on, to leave her behind in the darkness where she belonged. But something compelled me to stop, to roll down the window and call out to her. "Are you okay?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. The woman didn't respond, her gaze fixed on some point in the distance. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I reached out a hand to touch her shoulder. It was then that I noticed the blood, dark and viscous, staining the front of her dress. "Jesus," I muttered, pulling back in horror. "What happened to you?" Still, the woman remained silent, her eyes vacant, unfocused. A sense of dread settled over me like a suffocating blanket as I realized that something was terribly wrong. Without another word, I slammed the car into gear and peeled away from the scene. The image of the woman burned into my mind like a brand. But no matter how fast I drove, I couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom that hung over me like a shadow. The roads seemed to stretch on forever, twisting and turning in on themselves like the corridors of some endless maze. And all the while, that sense of being watched grew stronger, more insistent. I tried to focus on the road ahead, to drown out the rising panic clawing at the edges of my mind. But then I saw it again, a figure standing in the middle of the road, illuminated by the glow of my headlights. It was the woman, her eyes empty sockets staring sightlessly into the night. I swerved to avoid her, the car skidding dangerously on the slick pavement. But when I glanced back in the rearview mirror, she was gone, vanished into thin air like a ghost. I shook my head in disbelief, my heart pounding in my chest. I had to get out of here, I told myself, had to escape this nightmare before it consumed me whole. But no matter which direction I turned, the road seemed to lead me deeper into the darkness, into the heart of the unknown. And then I heard it, a soft, plaintive wail echoing through the night, like the cry of a lost soul searching for redemption. I froze, my blood turning to ice in my veins as I realized the source of the sound. It was coming from the back seat. With trembling hands, I reached behind me, my fingers closing around something cold and clammy. I yanked it into the light, my breath catching in my throat as I saw what it was, a doll, its porcelain face twisted into a grotesque parody of a smile. I screamed, the sound tearing from my throat like a primal roar of terror. And as I did, the doll's eyes flickered to life, glowing with an otherworldly light that pierced the darkness like a beacon. I didn't stop screaming until the sun rose the next morning, bathing the world in a warm, welcoming light. But even then, the memory of that night lingered like a nightmare, haunting my every waking moment with its chilling reminder of the horrors that lurk just beyond the edge of our reality. Thank you. Please subscribe so we can bring you more Chronicles Terror Trails stories.